Metho Stoves. What you see here is a selection of some of the Metho stoves that I own, from ultralight stoves right up through to the vehicle-based Metho stoves. Now, I might talk a bit about the history in using Metho stoves. Now, going back probably some odd 10 years that I've been using Metho stoves now, mostly for lightweight hiking. They're an ideal stove for hikers because they're very efficient. Generally, depending on the fuel you use, they burn clean, but we'll talk about that. Let's start by showing you a few of my Metho stoves that I've used in my backpacking and some of my favourite ones. Now, some of these I've actually built myself, such as this one here. I made that out of a Coke can. Generally, most of these stoves you use 1 ounce, 2 ounce. 1 ounce is around 30 mils, and 30 mils is enough to boil half a litre of water, no problems at all. And it generally takes around about 6-7 minutes. But you can get quite elaborate. Some of these, most of these, what you see here, are actually made in the purchase from in the States. There's another one here on the same principle. You've got others that you can actually adjust the simmer, because generally, majority of them, such as these ones you see here, and these ones here, are generally just one heat, one setting, high, that's it. You've got a high, and that's it. But if you've got some here, that you can adjust this heat. And as you can see, now underneath there's all these little air intakes. And when you close that, there's a band, and it suffocates. And because it suffocates, it doesn't get as much oxygen. So using that method, you can actually control the heat. And there's quite a number of them that's come out like so. There are others where you can adjust the heat. You use a little bottle like so. You place that, you screw that on, and that, by adjusting the height of that, will adjust the flow that goes into the little Metho stove. Now you can see how stable that is. There's like a bit of felt in there. So you just let that run through, put a fire in there, put your pot on there, and in no time at all, that boils away. And you can see how compact and small that is. Now, there's no reason why you can't actually take these with you in the vehicle and use them with mocha pots and so on. They're quite ideal for that. This is a popular one. These work very efficient. These generally come with a kit. Again, it's made out of soft drink bottles, and these are very efficient, and they generally come with a kit. Okay, in here there's a kit that's got a titanium pot. So I will actually show you that now. Let's open this up and put the lid back on that. It's a bit windy out the back here, so hopefully it's not too much noise. So there's a titanium pot. So this one's called by a company called Avenue, and they're made in Japan as well. But inside this pot, you got a little pot stand. So what this is also made out of titanium. So extremely lightweight. So basically, these ends, I don't know if you see that. So there's a connection here that just slides in. So that slides in like so. You place your little burner in here. You've got a couple of little lightweight tent poles, so you can adjust the heights. You see these little holes in here. And then your pot, the foldable handle, sits in there like so. And that will boil in no time at all. Now that's very efficient when there's a fair bit of wind around. This is probably my favourite that I used to take with me when I went long distance bushwalking. I used to take this setup here because the wind basically doesn't affect it at all. You could have quite a strong breeze blowing and that will still cook away without any problems. And being titanium, it's very, very lightweight. So you can see, pot is also, as I mentioned, it's also made out of titanium. You can use this for timber as well. So what this is, it's packed into is just a bit of Tyvek sleeve, and that fits perfectly inside there. I used to do a lot of dry baking What I call by dry baking is basically baking your own bread, cakes, etc., so on. And I used to use this for that. So you'd arrive to camp and you can bake your own fresh little loaf of bread, own little muffin cake or so on, and it works really efficiently. So again, it's very important that you've got a stove, a Metho stove, where you can adjust the temperature, and this one's ideal for that because you can see it's got all these little air intakes in there, and you can close that up. So you want it just a small flame, a very small flame, and you'll have like a little, well actually I'll show you the pot that I generally use a lot for that. This is the pot that I use to bake the bread and so on, and the cake. You can see there's quite a decent size. Bit of felt which acts as a windshield as well, and you got the main pot on the outside. An egg ring, so you place that egg ring on the bottom, and then this pot sits on the top of that, and you space it out evenly as such so that there's an air gap right around. That sits on there. You come back about 40 minutes later and you've got a really nicely baked little bread or cake or muffin. If you use methylated spirits, they actually burn really dirty and they leave a lot of soot on the pot. If you add around 10% of water to these, it reduces the soot. It keeps your pots a lot cleaner. And it's the same with these. I find if you use the Metho, it's really dirty. But the fuel I started to use, because the methylated spirits that's sold in Australia here has got like a poison in it, and it's not really good for you, the smell, and it's quite potent, the smell. So that I like to use this one here. It's not actually a Metho. Now when it comes to vehicle-based camping, these are ideal. You can adjust the temperature. It's got 2 canisters in there that hold 1 litre each. What I mainly wanted to talk about is the fuel that you use. General Metho burns really dirty, as I mentioned before. So I started doing some research. Yachties who own these, obviously, they don't want to use fuel that burns very dirty and it's toxic. The smell is just, and it's not good. You need to use it in very well ventilated areas. They tend to use a lot of 100% alcohol. And in Australia, it's impossible to get 100% alcohol. But I did some research, this type of fuel. Basically like an ethanol. So bioethanol for use in flueless fireplaces. Now, they don't have the nasty chemicals in it that methylated spirits have. They don't put out the smell that methylated spirits out, and they don't burn as dirty as what methylated spirits are. So your pots, the base of the pots remains a lot cleaner, and you don't have that black soot that gets everywhere. There can be a little bit, there is still a bit of hint of soot, but it just wipes off, but nowhere near as much. And that's it there. It's a company called E-NRG. So it's clean burning bioethanol for use only in flueless fireplaces. Now you can only buy it in minimum amounts of 5 litres. If you go to their website, you actually have to buy a box of 4 of these, 20 litres. It's going to last a long time. Now if you go to any specialist fireplace stores, you might find generally they will have something like this. Now they've been hard to get of late because this is being used for hand washing chemicals and so on to wash your hands. It's a good idea to use this. Now you can still add a dash of water in here. As I mentioned before, you will get just a slight black under your pots and just a slight bit of soot on there. It's not much. Now if you add a tad of water, that will eliminate that, but it also drops the heat down quite considerably if you're adding water to this. So I find this actually burns hotter than your methylated spirits as well. So it'll boil water quite a fair bit quicker than your Metho spirits will. You've got no gas to hook up whatsoever. Now I can show you. Unfortunately, these you cannot buy these anymore, which is a shame. It's known as an Origo 3000 stove. So it's got like a little latch here and you can open up. And there are the burners. So they're the burners. Now you can see the knob here as I turn that, so it's adjustable. So if you want it a low heat, you just open it that much. You want it fully high, you open it as much as all the way. I love cooking with this. I use this at home a lot to cook on because I can adjust. It's so precise, the temperature adjustment on these, that it beats any gas stove that I've ever tried, actually. So it's brilliant for that. That's something I wanted to film quite a while in particular about these, bioethanol fuel. So if you can find some bioethanol fuel, check out your decent, good quality fireplace stores and ask for bioethanol fuel. Otherwise you can go online, check it out, worth a try. Lot cleaner, fuel burning, don't smell as much, and it's a lot healthier to use, particularly if you're using it in a more enclosed area. So thanks for watching.